What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I want to talk to the gangsters. To the gangsters, to the thugs, to the ones that's really out there doing that thing, getting that money that way. The ones that be gang banging. The ones that fly colors and flags and streets and cliques and sets. The ones that be shooting each other. The ones that damages the community based off their actions, right? The ones that no one talks about, but they talk at. Those ones. The ones that they make movies about, people want to be like, but you know what I'm saying, don't quite understand. Like those ones, right? And I got an idea because everybody always like talks and like you are the problem, right? Instead of looking at it as you are a symptom of a bigger problem, right? And if you know anybody that's like in the I know I'm shooting in the wind here, but at least I'm gonna give an idea, right? Right, an idea. I got a great idea, and I'm not sure why most of the gangsters or the cliques, the groups, the clubs have not done this, but I think it's a golden opportunity for them to at least start talking about it. If there's any like gangsters or whatever that's has a any vision for the future, if they have any, if they're, you know, if they actually care, like if there's like a, damn, maybe we should elevate this. Or if you ever thought about, damn, how can we, you know, like go legit, or like, how can we stop this cycle or whatnot? If you ever, anybody that actually cares, mainly the OGs that get out and they kind of grow up, get families and stuff like this, maybe they can take this and like go and propose this to any gangs or groups within their areas, right? If I'm pretty sure somebody may propose this before, but I've never heard it, so I figured I'd just add to the conversation if it's being had. But I think we should take a page out of the white people's book, right? Remember the 20s and the teens, what we were doing, bootlegging, right? Remember when Atlantic City was big? Remember y'all seen that show Boardwalk Empires? Remember Boardwalk Empires? That was an excellent show. I think that was by HBO. Excellent show, right? And it was depicting the time like where bootlegging was like the drugs, alcohol. That was the thing. They was running from the police, they had outlaws. You had to, they were talking about all the gangs that participated, within that business, bootlegging, selling alcohol, illegal alcohol when it was illegal, made illegal, right? And the thing is, after that, right, and those we had the hardest gangsters back then. I mean, y'all think y'all gangsters, but back then, when it was alcohol, that's back when everybody was choppers. Okay, I mean, they was doing shit back then with suits, right? And we glorify that era, but Hollywood glorifies that era, but at the same time, what did they do afterwards? What they did was they formed unions, right? They united, right? They got over their bloody differences because these gangs, they were fighting, right? They were killing each other. But cooler heads said, you know what? We need to stop doing that despite the personal, like people who, you gotta be able to sit in front of, and it's a hard thing to do. You gotta be able to sit in front of your enemy who has hurt you and be able to make this deal for the sake of your whole team and for the sake of their team and for the sake of the greater good, right? And they were able to do that, and they became all the beverage companies that that are multi-billion-dollar corporations today. All right, and that's the 19th century, right? And a lot of them are the biggest unions of today, right? Multi-million-dollar corporations. So these gangsters, they were straight thugs. They was gangsters, but they found a way, and they were not very educated, right? As far as like traditional education, right? But they knew logistics, because you had to get something to point A to point B. You had to have connections. You had to have supply lines. You had to have storage containers. They knew about security, right? You had to have people securing. You had people escorting the product. You had warriors, right? They knew about that. They knew about organized in-house security, right? They knew about international relations because sometimes they had to deal with other countries in order to get the recipes or to get the get some of that product overseas, because they made a lot of money doing that too, right? So we talking about international logistics, right? We're talking about international business experience. We're talking about understanding shipping, delivery, right? Security, all that stuff, right? All the attributes that it takes to be a thug and a gangster and to sell products, sell weight, right? And to protect you from other gangs, right? Trained soldiers who've been in the field, right? Hardship training, right? Hardship experience within the organization, to understand that if you had to put somebody on the plane to go do something, they're going to do it, right? Loyalty, right? But I think what you would have to do is first you would have to change the way your entrance exams are, right? You can't do that no more, right? You're going to have to change that, or maybe create a separate organization, a pilot program, a separate organization, just like these old gangsters of the past used to do, right? And right now you have the plethora of an opportunity in front of you if you're black, because you got Africa right there, right? You got Africa, and you got many products that the world wants. There's many products that are there in the ground to be bought and sold on export, import, right? Many products. Right now, I'm pretty sure, unless you guys out there gangbanging just for the sake of gangbanging, because, you certainly don't own those streets that you out there dying for, right? Just stand out in the corner and wait for somebody to come up and shoot you for something the dude next to you did yesterday, right? Or because somebody disrespected you or whatever, stuff like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Y'all not worried about all that stuff, right? So y'all shouldn't have any problems, right? Hopping somebody on a plane, finding a different product that doesn't cause you to have to do that, right? And then you can go over there and create your own supply lines. You already know how to do that. Many of your organizations, depending on which one you're a part of, y'all have locations in different countries where you collect your product, right? Package it, ship it, secure it, and your counterparts bring it here. Or you are connected with other organizations over in other countries that deal or specialize in that, right? So, and that's just one product that causes you problems because the U.S. government don't like the fact that they don't get the tax money based off the product that you sell, right? So they come after you, right? A gang that you will always be ill-equipped to actually be able to defeat, right? But that is your permanent enemy, and they have leverage, right? Because you chose this particular product, right, to build revenue for your organization, right? So all you would have to do is switch to another product. Now, yes, at the very beginning, you're going to take a hit, right? Because obviously the value of other products is not as much as this per se, right? At the onset. But we talking about volume here. You can literally scale up the business without having to worry about the portion of hiding it from the government, as long as you pay their bribe, which is that tax portion, and make sure you apply and make sure you pay all the fees for export and import the products, products that you purchasing overseas, right? So because they're already looking at you, right? They're going to continue to look at you if you try to do something like this. But as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, as far as legality, which you could just do it legally, right? Cause you instead of having to legally hire a lawyer every time, or instead of having to not have to worry about snitching on somebody, because that's legality, instead of not having to deal with 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, in jail, giving up your life, for the sake of an organization that doesn't even have a piece of real estate, to their name, a respectable piece of real estate to their name, right? I mean, come on, right? They don't actually own anything. Your organization could literally go over there in Africa, purchase land as a corporation. You can incorporate yourself, come up with a name that's non-threatening and rebranding like, and you can set up organization and buy land and have a base over there. Shipping and operations, call it what you want, where you collect all you can build your base for the amount of money that you guys are making. I'm telling you, you can do it right now. This would be a golden opportunity, right? You can control the supply from raw material to finished product. And when it's time to distribute your product, right, something you guys already know about distribution. You have plenty of people in your organization that know how to distribute goods. Under stress, by the way, right? All you have to do is do that same thing with another product. You can set up distribution locations within the United States of America. And guess what? Because you did it legally, you ain't got to worry about police coming and bothering your employees, your members, your associates, when they're out there distributing, right? Distribution is distribution, right? You set up shop, distribution location, guess what? As long as you pay your taxes, that bribe to your government, they gonna leave you alone. Matter of fact, they may sit across the street to make sure you're not doing nothing else, providing you free security by the state, because they're gonna be there watching to make sure you're not trying to wash any illegal money in the legal system, because that's exactly what they're gonna think you're gonna do. But don't do that. Simply don't do that. The only mistake you could make is to do that, to be washing your illegal money, with the legal money. Wash your illegal money with the legal. Don't do that. Don't do that. Keep those things separate. Protect your asset, right? Protect your asset. That way you can stop doing this that causes all the conflict and strife and negative aspects of being associated with your organization. And you can concentrate fully on this. And I'm telling you, because you're able to scale up, right? You'll far surpass anything you ever was making on the streets. Far surpass anything your organizations ever did within the decades of its creation. I'm telling you. And it's not like y'all can't do it. Y'all got the managers. Y'all got the trainers. You got the employees. You got the logistics. You got the shipping. You got the international relations. You got all that. All you got to do is change product. Send an exploratory team out and see what's available. What's the market price for these products? You got that. You got accountants. I guarantee you have accountants. And of course, I'm not going to encourage you to use illegal, illicit money, to fund your legal things. But do what you have to do under the guise of, the law ish, and get out of it. Fundamentally change the way people see you. Become a success story, if that's something you want. You know what I'm saying? Hell, you can. If something, and this, of course, you would have to make sure that you can get passports to go to many of these African countries. Make sure you keep your individuals clean. The ones you want to go off and represent you on the legal side. Separated and protected by lawyers. These lawyers that you get will be protecting your assets and your businesses and your structure instead of protecting, Terrence, because he had to go to jail for putting in work for whatever reason, for the streets, right? Yeah, for that street that's owned by who? Not you, the police and friends, right? You know what I'm saying? So that way you can create 401ks and retirement plans and shit, and start dealing in legal crypto and start creating hedge fund groups and shit. Start branching out, making that real money. Be a real gangster. Be a real gangster. Create your own security firms. You want to play with guns and shit? Go get the bigger guns and shit. Go be contractors and shit. You can do all that. I'm trying to tell you. Anything you want to do, y'all can do it. Y'all got this. Y'all got the talent. Y'all clearly soldiers. Y'all clearly want to be. Y'all not opposed to doing things that can be difficult in order to make a dollar. So why not pivot, do it legally, and become something great? Because honestly, gangster life is whack for real right now. Like, why y'all get? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, it's a waste of time. You guys are the ones killing each other. When we say black on black crime, we talking about y'all. So why don't y'all do what the white folks did? That's how they did that. That's how they did that. So when you go get drunk and shit because you crying over your homeboy that got killed, when you go get that alcohol, just understand you buying that alcohol from former gangsters that said, fuck it, we need to do something different, because just killing each other and fighting the police is just not going to work out. Just know that when you're doing that, that's what you're doing it with, right? So let that be an inspiration to you next time, you pouring one out for your homies with that, with whatever alcoholic beverage that you're drinking, all right? Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.